Hello, hello, hello.
Oh, oh. Well, there I'm at. There I'm at.
There he is.
There he is.
What's up, my friend?
What's happening, Matt?
You know, living the dream.
Just living and loving, right?
Living and loving.
That's what my dad used to say when he was gracing the earth.
Yep.
You got a couple choices, and living and loving, probably two solid choices.
So here we are.
So here we are, and no end in sight for sure, I don't think. Matt, I wanted to, and so for some of the hello for everybody out there in the Periscope land following, please tweet, retweet to anybody you can to join us and watch the conversation, because I'll tell you what, it'll be entertaining for sure. I can't guarantee it's going to be profitable, but I'm going to tell you right now, for sure, 100% honesty first. Honesty. I was on the floor for a bunch of years. My word is my bond. I might be wrong, right? But I'm going to tell you how I see it, and I don't mind being wrong. I've been wrong once or twice in my life, not a problem. Matt, obviously, let's talk about the election first and get it out of the way before we talk price discovery.
Sure.
And I want to bring up a tweet, and this might seem strange that I would bring this up. It's an Instagram ad for snow planks. Now, the relevancy here is you and I did a live Periscope stream yesterday from a beautiful beer garden in downtown Bend, and a beautiful craft brewery, Bend Brewing Company, and they have a beer that we talked about in the Suds review, and they are partnering with Snow Planks here, a local Bend board and ski manufacturer. And my pivot here is, or my thought process is, how do we have the technology that you can live stream me, and this shows up on Manja TV, which is a lifestyle portal that I own, but I mean, how is there that technology that all of a sudden snow planks ads are showing up on my Instagram feed?
Bob, it's a mere coincidence that the phones don't listen to us, but obviously they do, because that's why you got that ad.
I don't what is the phone had to be listening. I don't know. It's just crazy. It blows me away how incredible the technology is that
even your iPotato, because you're not an iPhone
my
guy.
iPotato. You're right. My iPotato, which we can't stream from because it's actually not bad. It gives everything a sepia, out of focus feel. Yeah. So people are like, wow, how did you take that picture?
It's like going back to the 60s photo albums.
Exactly. I have a piece of shit phone. That's how I took the picture.
So maybe we should.
But anyway, my point is the technology is through the roof, yet we can't not, we have a voter that's 120 years old and died in 1984 voting in your home state of Michigan. We lost Matt.
Right. I'm here.
He's here. There. And there it is. Tell me about this site, because I'm not familiar.
Okay, so this is Real Clear Politics. This is where you should go if you want to see the latest on any elections. And this is what has officially been called so far. 216 for Biden, 197 are up for grabs, and 125 for Trump. All these states now in the gray have not been officially called. So,
and officially called by the election committees of their state, that we've called all of and has been verified.
Yes, that's correct.
All right.
So we've got 197 electoral votes, to your point, Bob. It's still up for grabs, which is, we've got 340, let's call it. So, 540 total, and we got 200 of them unavailable. 40%. Here we are, day 3. The third day, at least, after the election. Tuesday was the election. So, there was no automation apparently for how many states. I mean, there's a good dozen or so states here that have not figured it out. So anyways, politics is driving this market. Let's pop on over to kind of a couple things here that I want to touch on. The S&P is up 76, trading back to 35.11. The recent high here in mid-October was 35.41 before we fell 300 points. And now we've come back 300 points exactly today.
All right, let me ask you this. Can I interrupt for a second?
You may.
What is the high of that value of that meet?
35.20, right where we tagged 35.22.
Right where we went. Ding, 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 ding. Powerful script there for TradingView. Powerful.
Yep, very powerful. And the other thing I want to talk about here real quick, I just want to bring up how all assets are one. And this is related to the dollar. The dollar, since Biden looks like he's going to be winning the last 2 days, has been schmeezed, right? The dollar is getting throttled, which makes all assets inflated. And I'm not going to spend a lot of time here, but here's gold. Again, nothing new here, but it's kind of broken out of the lower range and looks like it might head back to the lower band, that might take you up to 2,000 possibly. And it's up 50 bucks today. So just through the roof. Bitcoin, Bobby, your favorite, is
yeah, I got some. I got orders in to sell.
It's
that was another tweet, if I might interject.
Yep.
That the tweet was there's no significant resistance between here and all-time highs. Again, I mean, who are these people that get? Right. And my biggest problem with the platform is that it gives me free speech, right? But it also gives other idiots free speech. There is no significant. I got some significant resistance, anyways, around 1650. What do you see in the long-term profile?
I mean, again, we're kind of in the, we can go as high as they want to run it right now. So that old high is up in play up there, just over 20 grand. But, on the way down, it kind of bounced here at 17,000 too, right? I'm just looking at price only. But then when you look at the actual volume that is traded there, hardly anything is traded in these prices. So we're back into, the inflated Everest hike. And any high is possible. I don't know, Bob. I mean, again, this thing is chased. But
okay. I like that.
One thing I want to point out real quick, though, I want to show you a 5-minute chart. So this 5-minute chart, okay, so we're just looking at the last 5 days. So we're kind of zooming out to zoom in, which traders should do. We have the long-term perspective going parabolic, but the short term has kind of changed here today. As a matter of fact, it fell, close to $400 swiftly, like boom. I mean, that just happened here. At 8:30 here in the West Coast, we went from the 15.3 all the way down here to 14.8, and it held again, but is rolling back over. So I would expect to test here 14.8 one more time. If that fails again, it's going to move swiftly to 14.5. And again, this foundation that we're building this move on, Bobby, needs to fill in to strengthen, to go higher. So you really want it to pull back in here if you are bullish. You don't want it to blow its load all at once and run all the way up there. So I would just keep that in mind as you're doing that. The other thing I wanted to bring up real quick on the grains, since we've been talking about the grains, is beans have actually broken out.
How about
not corn or wheat. So I'm just going to touch real quickly on the beans.
Yeah, no. And you don't have to be real quick about it, because we talked about this last week that, there's going to be food shortages.
Well, and that pullback again on the profile is beautiful. We talked about it. It was right here to the 10 spot. And right there from 1040, 1050, it's shot up another, full buck here. Hit a high of 1114 already today. And that thing is just, again, food shortages. The protests continue in Europe. I mean, you had a 1 million mask march today. I don't know if you saw that in London.
I don't know if you follow a guy by the name of Brian Rose, the London Real.
I do not.
Okay, he's a U.S. guy, but he moved to London 2 decades ago and became a British citizen. He was an investment banker. A great guy. This London Real is kind of like a Joe Rogan type of deal, but then he's built out a whole business accelerator. He's running for mayor in London, and he's one of these refreshing voices that are thinking and saying what everybody's thinking and saying, but what so many people are afraid to say.
Right.
And he talked about this very pragmatic thought process. 1,000 deaths in the UK, and let's just say a day, I think it was yesterday, they're losing 1.8 billion in economic activity with the shutdown a day. And you can't say you can't put a price to a life, because insurance companies have been doing it forever. There's actually an actuarial table that tells you, and that humans have interacted with forever.
Right.
On you can't put a price tag on a life.
Yep.
And the cure can't be worse than, I mean, these thought processes are being said and being talked about. And,
So speaking of that, let's look at what the money's doing, right? FTSE rallying hard also. So again, we're talking about all asset classes.
right.
We're in a current state of affairs where everything goes up and down together. It's as simple as that. This is a trader's market. This is not bullish necessarily. And the way I can look at that is by showing you a long-term chart of the FTSE. This is going back to 2016. We fell, from the COVID start. Again, haven't been able to recover maybe half. We talked about this earlier in the week. Fell again, and now are bouncing back to this line. But this is just another dead cat bounce. Likely long-term trend here on the FTSE is down, very clear. So if folks, use these 10% moves in 3 days, as we've seen in the broader indices, to lighten up, because here's the DAX, same story, people, right back into the meat. This is bearish. I mean, until they can get a new high here on the DAX, Germany is in a world of hurt. Not as bad as the UK, but you can see again, it couldn't make a new high, unlike the US market. So the US continues to lead. Our elections continue to be contested. Who knows when they'll put the stamp and the approval? It's going to be contentious. There's going to be, the news flow. We're just waiting. Yeah. We're just waiting for whatever it is next that is going to move this market, whether it be up or down. Tomorrow's jobs here in the US, that's something that could move this market in a big way. The jobs numbers, the pre-jobs numbers this morning were not pretty. They had more applying for UI than they expect. And so I expect that to continue. So again, a 10% rally again in the S&Ps this week in 3 days. Remember Friday, the world was ending.
It's like Men in Black. There's always an alien invasion coming.
No, but I want to talk about this. Friday, the world was ending. This is where we traded Friday at 11 o'clock, right? We were at 32.20, right? And the largest stock indices in the world now have run on what, Bob? Right. If you're a fundamental trader, you're going, this is great, or you don't understand what's going on, but I don't know. I mean, and by the way, most of this 300-point move, Bob, has been overnight again. So
yeah.
And
let me pull up a tweet, and then I want you to come back to the S&Ps and something that we noticed yesterday too, but it'll follow this this tweet, and it's a series of tweets. It's something I follow on Twitter. They're called at whale calls. Right. And it's a OKEX exchanges. And I don't know where they're getting this data, and they must be getting it from the exchange. But I've noticed in the past couple of hours, there's been over 50 of these tweets of large liquidation, either long or short contracts at these elevated Bitcoin levels. Now, I always talk about a level is important. I say, it's going to get physical there. There's going to be an argument. There's going to be trading going on. On the trading floor, we used to talk about you just hear the noise, like the volume in a trading pit would go through the roof. Sure. Traders would actually just go to the noise. Because
lots of orders. It's funny you say that, because I have it wasn't you, Bob, but another friend of mine that was a college roommate is a long-term floor trader. And the last time I was on the floor was probably 2006, 7, 8, somewhere in there, down in Chicago. And I ran into Nick. And at that time, he was trading like euro, he was trading like euro. He was in the euro pit or something. That's like his primary thing. And as a floor trader, it got super loud over in the corn while I was there. And I remember he was like, I got to go. I'm going over there. I'm like, what do you know about corn? Like, why are you going over?
We got the game on over there.
Yeah,
so, exactly.
So to your point, like he went over there and did that.
Right. And so this is one thing that's telling me that, I have orders in a little bit higher off the quarter. How about this? Off the quarterly chart. The quarterly chart. That's a 3-month chart for anybody that doesn't know how many units go into 12. The quarterly chart, 3-month chart, and I'm up at 1650. I'm actually I'm paying more attention now because we're into the collar on the daily. That's the collar on into the collar on the weekly. And these extended levels, you see people taking chips off the table, and you also see people getting squeezed and saying, "I can't take it anymore. I can't be short this. I gotta get out."
Right.
So you see the volume pick up on these extreme areas. And I wanted to, so not only do you see people getting squeezed and getting out, you see people taking profit. You see smart people, Matt, taking money off the table. And you mentioned to me yesterday, Bezos, seemingly a smart guy, taking some Amazon chips off the table.
Yeah, he took another 3 billion off yesterday, reported, and that makes, matter of fact, I was going to mention that, so thanks for bringing that up.
Yeah,
that makes 10 billion worth of shares he has sold this year. That's prudent. I mean, he owns literally hundreds and hundreds of thousands and millions of shares, right? So this stock has been up. It again bottomed on Friday at 29.50, and we're already up, well over 10% on Amazon. Today we hit 33.67. Again, what changed since Friday? Nothing, but sentiment, and too many people got short at the wrong time. Kind of to your point,
right.
Retail was selling here. They're selling at the wrong time after it had already fallen 15%. And that's why you take profits. And then when it bounces, and if you're short, you put it back on in here, right? This is what pro traders don't expect. Amazon, if they're short, they're going to trade it around. Shit, you see a 10% move like that, or 12, 15, whatever it was, you're going to make some profits on the short side. And now it's back up into the, stratosphere again, but not, if you're shorting this chart, this is probably a good time. It'll probably at least pull back to 3,200, which is $130, right?
Right on.
And it might have to go up here to test that 3,500 again. Who knows? But the point is, you could collar some type of option strategy where you sell kind of out of the money calls, again, way up here. They're probably expensive because the market, it goes up $100 every day here on Amazon, right? That's the way people start thinking. This is easy. I'm just going to buy it, and it gaps up 100, gaps up 100. But look at all these holes. These holes got to be filled in at some point. There's 3 of them. So again, these stocks are trading like with gaps, and then they just stop trading. Look, every day, just flat lines. I mean, if we zoomed in here, this is the thing I want to point out. Like, if you're a day trader, this is pretty, like I talked about volatility, Bob, before the election. I was betting volatility would collapse, right? Remember that discussion we had?
Yeah, absolutely. We both kind of thought the same thing.
And let's take a look at the VIX, because the VIX has collapsed. It's down again today. And when we talked about it, it was pushing that button up there at 35, 36, and had traded 41. This is when we talked about it. This was Friday when we went on live, and we said, hey, 36, this looks like it's bouncing. You should sell it. Boom, it's collapsed. So great trade again here with the VIX futures. If you wanted to put on, again, sell calls, buy puts, that would have worked either way. And this thing is just, collapsed. Now you take profit because it went 41 to 26. I'm not saying it's going to continue going down forever. But again, if you look at the long-term nature of VIX, we made a higher high, but we're just right back into the zone here again. Kind of this, comfy, cozy trading ranges that we're back in. And that's why volatility has collapsed and gone right back into that zone, Bob.
Right on. All right, I want to show just one thing on my chart. Well, first of all, again, here's the weekly Bitcoin US dollar coin. And again, fully pressing into that collar. Great places to take profits, man. You don't pay for ski trips. You don't go on that European cruise you've always wanted to do, right? You don't buy new snow planks and ski your favorite line on any mountain in the country if you don't take profits. You got to take profits, people.
Yep.
So I wanted to show you that. And the other one that jumped out at me today was the gold. Again, we had talked about how all the gold pundits were, how this was going to do. It has performed well this week. Let's not, let's point that out. But for me, it's struggling right there. That 1953 is the up momentum level. And it's got to finish the week close above that for me to really start paying attention. And then it's got to follow through. I mean, you can't have one of these close in up momentum, close up there to your level around 2000, and then just fall away. You know,
that's a weekly chart, right, Bob? So you're
Yes.
looking at one, including this week's big up week. 1, 2, 3. We've got 6 weeks since that big red candle.
Yep.
And every week has been inside that big red candle.
Exactly.
That's a simple, like if you are just a price action only guy, there's your range. Like nothing's changed again.
Right.
You're just pushing up into the high end of that former.
And how about this thought process? You know, how many people have been sitting on longs and suffering for 6 weeks? And let's face it, man, sometimes trading is just as psychology, where they're like, oh, thank God I can breathe, I can get out. I got my money back. And actually you should be getting out here until it closes above that momentum level.
Yeah.
You know, that's the way I'm looking at it. It's like, wow, we got back to the momentum level. I've been underwater for 6 weeks on this thing.
Right.
You know,
you got a gift. You got a gift.
You can always get back in.
You can always get back in, but right now that chart looks like it's just biding time before the bottom drops out to me.
Right on.
So,
all right, Matt, that's what I got. Anything else? What else? Anything else?
I got nothing else. I'm just kind of, grinding it out here until this market decides to go back to two-way. We're in a one-way market, and it's all happens overnight, and everybody's sitting on pins and needles waiting. So you got your 10% rally. And again, this rally is not pro-Biden, pro-Trump. It's pro, fair elections. And the longer this drags out, the less likely this rally is going to continue to stay, because we're not seeing fair elections.
Well, back to our first conversation. Let's be real, people. We have the technology to solve this. We just don't have the will, and it's from both sides, frankly.
Yep.
I mean, when El Presidente got in, he had a Republican Senate and House and a Republican president, and they never got anything done around voter fraud. It's coming from Chicago. I said it jokingly, and then of course the dead ballots are coming. Vote early, vote often, and make sure all your dead relatives vote.
Bring up, and then then I'm thinking of Monty Python's bring out your dead.